So good morning, everyone. My name is Danny Fitzgerald. I'm the Regional Director for the San Diego and Imperial Small Business Development Center. Of course, we serve small businesses, and throughout COVID, we've also been helping a number of nonprofits apply for all the different COVID relief programs. And today we're here to talk predominantly about the City of San Diego's. On my part, I'll also talk about a couple other programs, but I want to be able to allow Mayor Gloria to welcome all of you here. To talk a little bit about arts and culture and how this program certainly can assist as well. So Mayor Gloria, I'll turn it over to you.
Danny, thank you so much, and good morning, everybody. Great to be here with Danny, Susan, Jonathan, Pamela, a number of great leaders in our community, as well as all of you as leaders in our nonprofit and arts and culture communities. I want to thank Danny. I think I don't even know how many Zooms we've done over the course of the pandemic together. Danny and the Small Business Development Council have been wonderful partners in trying to help folks during these difficult times, whether it's individual assistance with business, PUA and EDD, and all these alphabet soup of organizations that have helped a lot of folks sort of stitch it together and kind of keep it together. Dan, you've just been awesome. So thank you for what you've done. And thanks for partnering this morning to get out this information. Many of you may know, but I'll just maybe remind you or update you. I know arts and culture and nonprofit groups have had it tough the last year. It hasn't been a cakewalk for the city either. When you don't have a lot of travelers come into town, our revenues dried up just like your guys' have. When people are staying home, they're not spending money, that dries up our revenues. And so we've really struggled. Thanks to the federal government, particularly President Biden, the city received an influx of funds from the American Rescue Act. That came back was passed back in January, February. And that sent us a significant amount of funding. And that's a part of why you haven't seen massive layoffs and, bordering up of libraries and rec centers. That is really keeping us afloat. But myself and the city council both agreed that we had to do more for local businesses, local small businesses, and with a particular focus and concern for our arts and culture and nonprofit communities. So we set aside $10 million of those federal funds, a substantial chunk, for what I call our Back to Work SD budget, with a focus on financial assistance for those organizations I mentioned a moment ago. And then we had an incredible, brilliant, wonderful partnership with the San Diego Foundation, where they brought $2 million to the table to really leverage the $10 million we put together for a total of $12 million relief fund. I think many of you may have accessed the dollars the city put forward last year. It's a fraction of the funding that we're talking about right now. And we're trying to do this process, having learned lessons from previously. Ideally, the website doesn't crash, that we focus on equity when concerning how we're going to disperse these funds and making sure it goes to the folks who most need it. There's an overlay of concern for communities of color and our BIPOC communities. But particularly for this morning's conversation, a recognition that among the groups most impacted by the pandemic are arts and culture groups. In the way the city hasn't been receiving revenue, you all haven't been able to hold performances. You haven't been able to open your venues. You haven't been able to sell tickets. List goes on and on. And so those impacts are pretty great. And that's why this combination of support from the city and the foundation has this emphasis on nonprofit groups and arts and culture groups. Last, I would just say, in terms of level setting, sort of context setting of this conversation, while this is very much about pandemic relief, this is also about a forward-looking approach. Many of you know that I believe strongly that San Diego is a big city, and it's time we started acting like it. We are the 8th largest city in the country, the 2nd largest in California. And too often, I think we sort of embrace a vision of ourselves as being a small town. There's a lot of charm to that. I'm a native San Diegan. I love that sense that we're not LA. That makes me happy. But at the same time, when we eschew our size and our responsibilities, many of the things that we need to take care of in the city doesn't get addressed. And that big city mentality, or I like to call it big city energy, really is reflected best in our arts and culture community. It's what really breathes life into a city. It's a reason why we can be 1.5 million people and it still feel like a small town, because the connective tissue that is our arts and culture community makes this community feel much more navigable, much more homey, much more people scale. And so that's why this relief is important. And that's why going forward, we need to do more to make sure our arts and culture community, nonprofit communities are well supported. So thank you for letting me give you that kind of thought of how we've ended up here today, why we have this application that we want to encourage all of you to complete. And just, I want to end by expressing my solidarity with you as a fellow executive who's just trying to make payroll and keep the place running, maybe on a different scale, but we're all in the same boat. And I just want to express my appreciation for those of you being persistent, for staying in this fight, for moving forward, because you know that what you do is valuable and critical. And I want you to hear from the mayor that I know what you do is valuable and critical. And that's precisely why these $12 million have been made available. With that said, my partner in this effort, I know generally what I want. It's good to have some experts around to help you actually effectuate that vision. And the expert here at the City of San Diego is our Executive Director of our Arts and Culture Commission, Jonathan Gless, who is here to give a few words. So Jonathan, may I toss it to you?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. If you don't know already, this is why we come to work every day. Working for Mayor Gloria with his vision is so exciting. And to hear that arts and culture and creativity is right at the center of it, just really buoys the staff and the Arts Commission to do even more. So thank you, Mayor, for everything that you're doing. It's really an honor to work on your behalf. Before we turn it over to Pamela and Daniel to talk about the this opportunity, I just want to remind everybody that we are getting close to our annual funding opportunity through the Commission for Arts and Culture. Many of you know that there's two mainstay categories, OSP and CCSD. City Council was able to allocate additional funding this year. So there is more money in the pool this year. So we're very excited about that. But perhaps more important is that we've been able to streamline some of the application guidelines, which we're very excited about. I see Laura Mitchell saying yay. No insurance requirements, bravo. So make sure that you watch for the announcements in late September for the application guidelines. And for those of you on the line who perhaps have not been successful in the applications in the past, or you haven't applied, this is the year to apply. We're going to have ample engagement. Every city council member is going to be hosting a workshop, and we are providing one-on-one office hours for you. So there's lots of opportunities for you to dig into our annual funding opportunity. With that said, again, I want to thank the mayor for his leadership in making this funding available. And I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Pamela Gray Payton from the foundation. Pamela?
Thank you, Jonathan and Mayor Gloria. Good morning to all of you. It's great to see you, and thank you for being here. This is an important conversation, and one the San Diego Foundation is truly honored to be a part of. You know, we work every day with our nonprofit community, and we know that San Diego's nonprofit community truly is the engine of innovation and creativity and just service to our region. You are incredibly important to the local economy and to the lives of the people that you're serving and providing, in many cases, great entertainment for every day. And so the last year and a half has been incredibly challenging for the arts community for all the reasons that Mayor Gloria indicated earlier. And I know that you know this also well. But what we have been trying to do at the San Diego Foundation is to provide a lifeline for many of you in the way that we know best to do, and are grateful to you just for being able to withstand the challenges that we've all seen this last year and a half. You know, we at the San Diego Foundation have distributed about $66 million across the region to nonprofit organizations, more than 380 of them throughout the pandemic. And, you know, as grateful as we are to the donors and people, excuse me, who contributed and made that possible, the needs were even far greater. And so we did as much as we could with the resources that we have. We were pleased to retain that $2 million to support this initiative, and really are hopeful that all of you will apply and that you will encourage others to apply. And we want to see this $2 million spread as equitably as possible across the region and across the city in this case, and that we really want it to serve as many organizations as we can to help you stand up and to recover some of the losses over the last year, but really to be a part of what we hope to be a very prosperous future for our city and for the San Diego area. And that is only possible with you on our side. So I thank you for being here this morning and for the just really for the attention to this effort. We can only do it if you all apply and if others in the region do the same. We are really grateful, frankly, to the nonprofits in San Diego who, when we try to calculate just the impact of the nonprofit community across the region, so not exclusively to the city of San Diego, but across the region, what our information from the Nonprofit Institute at USD is telling us, that it has been over 3.5 million services that have been provided by the nonprofit community in the last year and a half as a result of dollars that we were able to contribute to your organizations. So I know that if Mark Stewart were here and Susan as well, we just want to thank you for that support and for that just initiative that so many of you have taken to be a lifeline to our region during a time of great need. But we know that it's going to take, concerted effort going forward to really get us back to where we were and beyond. I love the mayor's vision. I grew up in San Diego as well. San Diego is not a small town, and I wish to see us stop behaving like one. There's so much rich arts and resources here in the region. Let's pull together and redefine who we are and just educate the world on all that San Diego has to offer. So thank you all very much. Danny, thanks for initiating this and making all of this come together for us today. And I will return the podium to you.
Well, thank you very much, Pamela, and I want to thank the City of San Diego as well as the San Diego Foundation. This is a fantastic opportunity, and we are proud to be able to partner with the City of San Diego as well as the San Diego Foundation on administering this program. As Mayor Gloria said, I think there's been a lot of lessons learned from a lot of the different programs that have been out there and how they particularly work. And so a couple of the key things that you're going to see is from that really to ensure that there's proper and equitable access to the program. Also certainly learned a few things on the technology front as well, and things that we're able to do. So I'm going to share my screen and go through a little bit of the nuts and bolts. Since we have a really large group here, please use the chat feature to ask any questions. As I get towards the end, I will answer those questions. But this is a really simple process. And I'm also going to talk, in addition to the City of San Diego's, just briefly touch on as well a couple of other programs that are out there, but obviously the emphasis is on the City of San Diego program. So again, Mayor Gloria, Jonathan, thank you to the city. Susan and Pamela, certainly thank you to the San Diego Foundation for providing these funds and allowing us the opportunity to be able to work with the arts and culture institutions as well as small businesses to get the type of assistance they need. So we'll be able to kind of go through a few things. So what I'm going to do is, instead of a PowerPoint, because I think we're all tired of those, is kind of walk you through a little bit in terms of the actual website. So the website this is kind of the long one, but I'm going to type in the chat box really where you're able to find it, and that is sdreliefgrant.com. And that's just an easy one to be able to remember. And that gets you to this particular page. And so within that page, you're going to kind of see kind of the bit general information as well. So obviously, as a nonprofit organization, you're going to follow this column here in terms of some of the specifics that are around there and what you should particularly be doing. And so it does, of course, focus on the City of San Diego. You do need to either be located or serve the City of San Diego. So you are allowed to serve it. We do have that opportunity in terms of being able to provide evidence that you serve the City of San Diego. So that's certainly a way in which you're able to do it. Obviously, the priorities are if you are serving some of the targeted geographic areas. As the mayor talked about, there's particular emphasis on underserved and underrepresented communities. And so those certainly, that's would be these geographic areas. So for example, the Promise Zone, which really is basically Logan Heights and Southeast San Diego through the Encanto area. The CDBG eligible areas include that, plus San Isidro, City Heights, Linda Vista, kind of those areas, as well as the Opportunity Zone. So that kind of explains a little bit of that. Some of the other that's important are some of the deadlines. So one of the big things we did is decide to have a very large application window. And this has not been first come, first serve in any way, shape, or form. And that's because that does allow more people the opportunity to learn about the application, not feel as though they missed an opportunity, not rush their application. So in other words, they get it done right. And so obviously it opened on August 11th and it closes September 24th. So there still are a number of weeks left to be able to apply. So it's 3 weeks from Friday that it does close. But they're not being reviewed other than ensuring that the application is complete. And that's literally the only thing that is being reviewed at this point in time. Nothing otherwise is being reviewed. There will be a short 10-day period afterwards, and then grant notifications will be going out. So what are some of the documents that are required? Really what it boils down to is mainly is that you're able to provide, predominantly is if you have it, your 2019 federal tax return, if not your 2020. You do need to be obviously a 501c something. We know that you could be a 3, 6, 4 other types of nonprofit entity, and that would be obviously shown with your federal tax return. What would be ineligible is if you're not located or serve in the community, and of course there are other just basic exclusions from a federal standpoint. We talked a little bit about the priority. So one question we often get is in terms of what are the eligible expenses. It's basically what are your operating expenses. So the operating expenses, since you've lost a lot of revenue, that's what that would be. So that could be payroll, that could be overhead, that could be a number of different types of things that you would probably be able to certainly spend the funds on. So beyond this webinar, we have other types of get help types of situations. So obviously we're having this webinar today. We have a simple recording. If you want to listen to my voice a little bit more, you can certainly watch the recording of how to complete the nonprofit application, because I'm going to go through it a little bit quickly today with our limited time. And then, of course, if you need some additional assistance, you can complete this brief form, and you'll have one of my staff be able to assist you. If there's need for assistance in a language other than English, we provide assistance in about 8 or 9 different languages that certainly people can be able to receive that information. So what does the application look like? So we're going to take a look at the application itself. This is just a PDF version. What you'll be doing is going through our online, and so this will that will have simple steps that would be able to walk through, but at least so you kind of know what you're really after. So initially, of course, you're just providing your email information, showing that whether or not, and this actually now will just be, are you a nonprofit? Because we took out the C3, we've updated that question. Of course, whether you're located or serving in the city of San Diego. Then your basic demographic information. So who should be putting this information in? The executive director or board chair really is who should be doing this application. Someone who can legally obligate or legally sign for the organization is who should be completing this application. And so that's when, a lot of the questions I sometimes get as well. Other than that, like we said, basic demographic information. If you do have a website, please do include that. That does help verify some of the eligibility, as well as your mission statement and so forth. We do ask whether or not you've received any COVID stimulus and others. That's because one of the priorities that exists is if an organization has not received any COVID assistance, they would be a priority as well. And then, of course, you're uploading any sort of tax returns. If you started your nonprofit later, just evidence of revenue and that you were in existence prior to April 1st, 2020 for your nonprofit. And so also you'd be demonstrating how you serve the city of San Diego. Of course, if you're located in the city of San Diego, that's a much easier way to be able to provide that. Then after that, some basic demographic information. So it is that simple. And so that is really all this application is. We designed it to be intentionally simple, but there is some critical information, obviously, that is needed. In particular, the main document are your tax returns and evidence that you serve the city of San Diego if you are not in the city of San Diego. So that's kind of the critical component from a nonprofit standpoint. So that's really what this is designed to be. And I see Susan's answering the questions there in the chat, so I appreciate that, Susan, helping there as well. And so those are some of the things. We'll get to some of those questions that aren't otherwise answered. But I did want to highlight a couple of other programs that are out there and are open, because in addition to the city of San Diego, the California Relief Grant for arts and cultural programs is open. And so if you go to CA Relief Grant, that opened actually on August 27th and closes September 8th. We can also assist you with that. This is a very good program. There's $50 million for arts and cultural institutions, and that certainly is available as well. And so you would go there, you'd go to the arts and culture component, So basically what it is you will be providing similar types of documentation that are required, similar to the city of San Diego. Understand these are two different programs and you can apply for both. They're not exclusive. That's why I wanted to talk about them and make sure that you certainly were aware of them as well, because we know there's a lot of assistance. And so, there's a lot of times you're having to layer the basically from local to state to federal types of assistance to be able to have that. So those are some of the types of things as well. So when you get there, it is pretty straightforward in terms of it. You will have to do a simple certification. That's what basically, again, that you are in existence and what you will be providing these particular funds for. And then you would be able to go to the application, be able to click there to apply and be able to actually go in and get that application. So I see we do have a couple of questions there in the chat. The other program that's still out there from the federal, the only thing that's still left is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Again, it is a loan program. If you are a little bit more structured and do have some infrastructure such as staff and you can actually incur debt, it is a very good program. And if you need some assistance with that, we certainly can provide that as well. So again, I want to thank everybody. I went through that a bit quickly, but I wanted to make sure I was able to answer, to get to some of the questions as well and be able to answer those. And I do see in terms of a couple of things that are being questions with that Susan had. So Susan, I see you're answering a couple. Is there some that we need a little bit more information on?
The fiscal agent question.
So the fiscal agent question is a bit complicated. So you will need to be able to demonstrate what that particular relationship is, but you still need to upload some evidence of your existence. This one's a little bit more strict than our small business one, where it does need to be an entity predominantly, and that's what we're looking for. So I suggest you schedule an appointment and see what kind of particular evidence you have of your organization and how that particular fiscal sponsorship works and what sort of formal documents you have to be able to demonstrate that. So that would be uploaded in combination with either the information you're providing to the fiscal sponsor for their tax returns, and certainly evidence that you were operating as an organization prior to April 1st, 2020. So there would be some particular documentation you need to demonstrate, but I suggest you get an appointment for some of those.
Danny, if you look up the chat to John Hyken's question, you could answer that one on tax returns.
Yes. So it does say ideally that is what you upload. We understand that 2020 may not be complete, but if you have your 2019, that's the most important one. So when you go through the application, it is not a required document that you upload your 2020. The main thing is that you're able to upload evidence that you were in existence prior to April 1st, 2020. And if you have your 2019 tax returns, those are hands down the most important. And so if you don't have your 2020s done, that's not an issue, but as long as you're uploading your 2019. All right. Let's see, we got one more. Yes, the recording will be made available. I have the list of everyone who signed up, and we'll also post the link on the website. Good question on how large do you expect the grants to be? They are, so they're between $5,000 and $25,000. What's being done is seeing the number of applications, seeing what that particular need is, and what those particular priority periods are. So that will be between $5,000 and $25,000, but it will mainly be demonstrated by the number of applications and ensuring that the priority areas are particularly targeted. And so that's really where that is. And so the exact grant amount will be determined at kind of at the conclusion of the program, but it will be between $5,000 and $25,000. And let's see, we got a couple others. So eligibility, yeah. So if you serve an area beyond the promise zone or those particular areas, absolutely you're eligible. We're just indicating those are priorities. That is not something that is a requirement. What is a requirement is that you're either located in the city of San Diego or you serve the residents of the city of San Diego. That's an eligibility requirement. The other is a priority. And example of documentation showing programming. So that's intentionally broad, because there's a lot of different ways you could demonstrate you serve the city of San Diego. That could be such as, hey, we had the following events in the city of San Diego. This could be we We do after-school programs at the following schools in the city of San Diego, and so forth. And there's so many different ways you can demonstrate that. That's intentionally broad. That's also why we're asking for your mission statement and your website, because that can provide some of that additional type of information. Because there's so many ways people would serve the residents of the city of San Diego that there isn't something specific that would demonstrate it otherwise, because you're going to know what that particularly would be, but something that does clearly demonstrate it. And that's what we'd be asking. And if that's not 100% clear, that's why we're asking for the website. And then if those types of gray areas, that's actually what that 10-day cure period is for, in case there's some additional clarity that's needed. And so when do funds available? Again, 10 days, the first grant notifications will be 10 days following the close. And so that would be early October. Will this grant impact your FY22 OSP grant amounts? I think, Jonathan, is that your program? No, I'm not sure what that program is. So my apologies, Chuck. I'm not exactly sure what that is. My bet is probably not, but I'd have to know more about the program.
Danny, it's Jonathan, I can jump in.
Yes.
This does not impact your OSP or CCSD applications at all.
Fantastic.
Great question.
Fantastic. Thank you. I was not sure on that one. And James is asking about the state program. There are new applications, but if you've received the state grant before, you're not eligible for another state grant. This is for entities that did not receive that particular funding. And so for the arts and culture, it is a new round specifically for arts and culture only that is open right now, September 27th through August 27th through September 8th. And Lorraine, are they for general operating support? That is exactly what these funds are for. All right, and there you go. Someone put in a tip for the state application. Yes, there's some tips and tricks. If you need some particular assistance with the application, that would be there too. So will the chat record be provided? I will make sure we get some of that information in there. I'll find a way to be able to do that. So I think we've got all those questions. So Jonathan, Mayor Gloria, Pamela, thank you very much. I'm not sure if you have anything else you need to add, but all right. So again, we appreciate everybody for being on today. Like I said, we'll put the recording for this on the website, email it out to everybody, and we'll get that information that's in the chat record as well, uploaded in as well. Because most likely what I'll do is be able to put that in on the YouTube page. So much appreciated to everybody. And thank you again to the City of San Diego and the San Diego Foundation for having this fantastic grant opportunity available for our arts and culture. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.